Kia ora, I'm Shelby, and today we are talking about Leona Helmsley. In the 1980s, the world learned of hotel magnate Leona Helmsley, who was dubbed the Queen of Mean by the press because of her ruthlessness. Helmsley was born Lena Mindy Rosenthal on 4th of July 1920 at Marbletown, Ulster County, New York, the daughter of a hatter. She worked hard to ensure that she was never poor like her father, often staying up until 3 a.m. to finish a deal when she began her career as an estate agent. By the time of her third marriage to landlord Harry Helmsley in 1972, she was a top estate agent in New York and reputedly worth $1 million. She took over the running of Harry Helmsley's property empire, which included 27 hotels and a number of skyscrapers, including the Empire State Building. On her birthday each year, her husband would decorate the iconic building in red, white, and blue lights. Leona Helmsley introduced a clever marketing strategy of being a perfectionist. If she was one, then a stay at one of her hotels could be expected to be perfect also. It was a remarkably successful plan, and businessmen and the rich began to stay regularly at Helmsley hotels. If Leona Helmsley was a perfectionist, she expected her staff to be the same. Busboys, chambermaids, receptionists, and even bodyguards were all terrified of her and tried their best to avoid her when she stalked the corridors looking for examples of sloppiness. The staff looked forward to the hour between 6:30 a.m. and 7:30 a.m. because they knew that it was the only time she would not be on the prowl. That was the time she used the swimming pool in her penthouse at the Park Lane Hotel. The swimming pool attendants had to keep a platter of fresh seafood at each end of the pool. As she completed a lap, they had to drop a shrimp into her mouth as she called out, "Feed the fishy." And then it all went wrong. Helmsley was investigated by the Internal Revenue Service, who discovered that she had spent $8 million on her Connecticut home and claimed it against tax. On 14th of April 1988, the Helmsleys were indicted on 188 charges. They managed to have a trial delayed until 26th of June of the following year. On the 12th of July, a former housekeeper at Dunelin Hall reported Leona Helmsley saying in 1983, quote, "We don't pay taxes, only the little people pay taxes," although she denied ever having said it. On 30th of August 1989, Leona Helmsley was found guilty of 1 count of conspiracy, 3 counts of tax evasion, 3 counts of filing false tax returns, 10 counts of mail fraud, and 16 counts of filing incorrect business tax returns. She was acquitted on a charge of extortion that could have led to a life in prison. On 14th of November, she was sentenced to 16 years in prison, later reduced to 4 years after all but 8 charges were dropped. 750 hours community service and fined $7.75 million. She cried when the verdict was passed. In the aftermath, Leona Helmsley went to a low-security prison in Danbury, Connecticut, where she continued to behave as the Queen of Mean. She hired inmates to make her bed and one as a secretary. Rather than fulfill her community service in the cold climate of New York, Helmsley carried out her punishment in the warm air of Phoenix, Arizona, having persuaded the judge that her 84-year-old husband would suffer in the Big Apple cold. She served 19 months with a further 2 under house arrest. Leona Helmsley died of congestive heart failure on Monday, 20th of August 2007. She was 87. And that's just a picture of her so you can put a face to the name. And hope you enjoyed that story. Stay safe and please subscribe.